I want you to look at two key words: judgment and opinion. Is a judgment or an opinion factual? Is it always truthful? Yet, we impart this on ourselves every single day. Every single day. So I want you to remember that. Self-esteem is learned. Nobody is born into this world coming out of their mother's womb as if, yes, I have arrived, I've made it, and I'll be the best in this world. Right? None of us are coming out like that. We're all coming out the same, crying and messy. Yeah? We're all coming out the same. No one is born with high and healthy self-esteem. It really comes from our thoughts, our feelings, and our experiences we've had and continue to have throughout life. So self-esteem is really an observational learning kind of thing of how we're looking at ourselves through our own lens. It can be affected by daily circumstances, other people, and most importantly, ourselves. But the beauty of self-esteem is that it can be changed at any age. So we often hear, oh, she has low self-esteem. And I like to illustrate points. So we've all met a negative Nancy. Negative Nancy, this is her all day. Hey, y'all. Don't talk to me until I get my coffee. I don't like that. They all get on my nerves. She talked too much. I didn't like that idea that she had. It just is not gonna work. Well, why? Nancy, is it not gonna work? I don't know. I feel it in my spirit. Right? We've all met that person. And you have to wonder, like, how do you wake up every single day in such a negative space? How? And it can't just be that you woke up on the wrong side of the bed. Because we wake up on the same side of the bed every single morning. Right? We do. We all put our feet on the ground the same way every single morning. But it really is impacted by the thoughts and how you see yourself. You can't see yourself in a positive space, then guess what? You're not going to behave positively. You're not going to have positive feelings. And it's going to be manifested in how you present yourself in the world. Because literally, we see this person every single day. And some of us are like, I'm praying for you, sister. Some of us are like, Lord, help them. And some of us are like, I don't have time for that today. And we have a real honest moment. Because sometimes other people's energy can affect you in such a way that it's just like, I can't deal with that today. My spirit can't take it. And that's okay. Because none of us are called to be everyone's savior. And it's okay. So you have to know what's good for your spirit. But when we see people like that, instead of us, here's the challenge, instead of us writing them off, because it's so easy to do, because nobody wants to be around negativity, right? But instead of us writing them off, I'm going to challenge you today to try to understand them. Now, if the understanding of negative Nancy gives you migraines, then that's not your ministry. You have to recognize what you can and what you cannot do. But say a prayer for her at night, right? So this is self-esteem. I want to introduce you today to a new concept called self-concept. Has anyone ever heard of this? Yes. Awesome, awesome. Oh, I'm in the room with some intelligent women. I love it, I love it, I love it. Self-concept, guys, it's who we believe ourselves to be. The belief of who we can become, which generally sets the path of our lives. Believing who we are, regardless of situations, is how we determine our coping mechanisms. He may have broke my heart. She may have thrown my name in the mud, but I'm a child of God. I'll get through it. Because that belief that you're a child of God and that you are forgiven is what helps you cope. That belief of who you are, regardless of the situation, is more consistent and more reliable. So I challenge you today, rather than focusing on your self-esteem, because that's based off of what? Judgment and opinions. And what do we know about those? Not factual, and sometimes they're not true. What do we know about feelings? They change. Feelings are the most unstable thing that's in your life. Which is why people don't want to be around feelings. Which is why people don't want to express any emotion, because it's too much. I had 1,200 feelings on my way here this morning. Because I left a little later than I wanted to, and I was like, I gotta get there, and just trying to talk with you. So you go through feelings, they're not stable. They change based on the situation. So you can't rely on your self-esteem. You can't rely on it. So if you've been beating yourself up about how you feel, I want you to get to the belief factor, because that's the core of who you are. I know without a shadow of a doubt that I am Ron and Roz Aker-Black's daughter, and I was raised with a belief system. As Akia mentioned, I'm always doing community service. My family believed in working in the community. Every weekend, I dreaded it when I was a kid because I wanted to play. But now I see the benefits of it and how it's fulfilling in my life. So what I know to be true about me is that I have a serving spirit. And my spirit of service is what heals me when I am in distress. So when people are like, you do too much, Roz. You always doing this, you always doing that. And a part of it's because I'm in a sorority, so we're always doing something. There's always something going on. Any of you guys that are in a sorority, you know that we have stuff to do all the time. So we don't get a break from that. And then I'm in other organizations, but it's my ministry. It's what works for me. So the belief about myself, whether I get hurt over here, whether they talk about me over here, anybody ever been talked about? Listen, anybody ever been talked about in a volunteer life though? Something you don't even have to deal with. Listen, volunteer hurt can be the worst hurt, because you're like, oh, I'm not even getting a paycheck for this drama. At work you can kind of like, okay, I gotta take it because guess what, I gotta pay the bills. But volunteer life? No. So I say all that to say I just had a flashback. Sorry, PTSD. Got it. But I say all that to say that when you know who you are and the belief about you, you can become a more positive person. It takes effort. Not every day that I'm waking up smiling Roz. But I do affirmations every single morning. When I first met my husband, he thought I was crazy. He's like, are you talking to yourself in the mirror? I said, why, yes I am. I'm not answering myself though, so stop judging me. But you gotta get up. And what you feed your spirit is what keeps you going. If you are feeding negativity to you all the time, if you can't see you as beautiful, if you can't see you as amazing, if you can't see you as worthy, you can't expect anybody else to see that. You can't be mad at it. If you don't want to be with you, you can't be mad at somebody else for not wanting to be with you. If you don't like you, why should I? So if you really want to have an authentic experience in this world, you really got to get to the core of who you are. The good, the bad, and the ugly. I don't let people see me when I'm in my worst state. Because everybody has a worst state, right? Okay, you guys are my people, just had to check. Because sometimes in church we are like, we don't go through things. But the reality is we know the devil hits us even harder because it's a test of our faith. So when we're in that horrible place, I don't let people see me. Because I realize at that point, I got to get back to self. I got to get back to what's true about me. And I can't be disturbed by all the distractions of nonsense. Because honestly, negativity is nonsense. It's nonsense. Nothing And your purpose that God has for you is going to be surrounded by negativity. He does not work in that manner. Your greatness is not surrounded by negativity. So when it hits your front step, now you got some tools. Who am I? What defines me? Did this kill me? Am I still breathing? Am I here? What am I good at? What do I need to work on? Those are your tools. That's how you get into this space of feeling better about you and how you see yourself. It's simple, but it's not easy. Because sometimes when we look in the mirror and we don't like what we see, it's hard to have that honest moment. But if you want a true sense of self, and you want to give yourself the healthiest relationship you can give to yourself, you gotta get honest about your stuff. I got some messed up ways about me. I'm not alone, y'all do too. I never had a fight in my life, but that don't mean that I don't have vindictive thoughts. Ooh, I say all kind of stuff about what I'm gonna say to somebody in my car ride home. I may not confront them right then and there because I don't know how to, get my words right in battle. But in the car, I got all the time with this traffic. So if that's when I gotta get it out, that's when I gotta say and talk myself off the ledge. Okay, Roz, you go a little bit too far. No, we can't do that to people. We still want to get in the kingdom. We can't do that. You gotta talk yourself off the ledge. We all do, right? It's a reality. But you gotta find your sense of space of how you do that. And you gotta be authentic to yourself. Now, I don't confront people because I don't know how to fight. I'm just gonna be honest. If I thought I could throw a punch, I might be a bad somebody. But I had to learn how to advocate for myself in different avenues. And for me, it's conflict resolution. All right, what's the real problem? Why are you upset with me? Or why are you upset with the situation? And sometimes it's not even about you. It's the person. But sometimes you just gotta get into that space of knowing yourself and knowing how you deal with situations so that when it shows up at your door, you're already armored. You're already prepared. You're already in a space of saying, oh, I'm unbothered. Because the devil knows how to get us, right? Ooh, sometimes I look at my husband, I'm like, dude, you're the devil, but you hitting all them spots right now. It's driving my nerves. I'm like, who did you have a conversation with this morning that you feel like you gotta harass me and I feel like I want to karate chop you in the forehead? Human nature, right? It happens. People know how to get to us. So our best line of defense is when people get to us in that way, then we already know how to react. And learning who you are, how you feel about yourself, and what you believe about yourself is the best line of defense you could ever have. You with me? Anybody learn anything in that moment? All right, so I want you guys to hold on to that because now, I'm gonna talk a little bit more. I covered this. Self-esteem is fleeting. They change how we see ourselves depending on the situation. Self-concept is stable. It doesn't change the belief about ourselves based on situational factors. Talked about that a little bit. But now I want to talk about your relationship personality. If this is a new concept for you, I want you to take notes. Because I want you to be armored with how you function in this world. So understanding your relationship personality, how the totality of your individual behavioral and emotional characteristics reveal themselves in your interpersonal relationships. Your relationship personality describes the blueprint on how you function in relationships, how you process interpersonal reactions, and how you emotionally attach to others. So your relationship personality is important. And even if you've been married 100 years, does not mean that you still don't need to know what your relationship personality is. So So what exactly is this thing called attachment that you keep talking about, Dr. Roz? Well, I'm glad you asked, because I'm going to tell you. It's how do you learn how to love? This is what attachment is. It suggests that emotional bonding occurs through a set of learned behaviors, responsiveness, and care from our parents or caretakers. There are 4 distinct attachment styles that are used to describe the care that we received as infants, which in turn taught us how to respond to the world and form interpersonal relationships with others. So let me say this. The first time you had your little spirit crushed, your heart crushed, your little first heartbreak, that probably was not the first time that you felt that pain. Because the reason why you were attracted to that is because you already recognized that discomfort. And typically, and God bless our parents, right? There really is no, well, there are now a couple of handbooks, but back in the day, there really was no way in terms of, knowing how to really be a great parent. People were flying by the seat of their pants. If you didn't die at the end of the day, it was a good day. I tell you, I don't have any kids, but I had my 5 nieces and nephews between the ages of 4 months to 7 visit me from Georgia. And Lord, every night I was checking, are they still breathing? Because I was terrified of, are we gonna make it through this whole 8 days, Jesus? Pray for me, because when you don't have kids, that's a lot. That's a lot. All right, so let's talk about these attachment styles. So secure attachment. So this is our first attachment style, and it is simply what it suggests. Children who are raised in a secure environment have responsive parents that efficiently tends to the child's needs and make the child feel safe and secure. These children become adults who are not afraid to explore the world because they have been taught there is a safety net. They are able to develop meaningful relationships and exhibit trust and empathy readily. These are the type of individuals that make great life partners. So these are the people when you're like, oh, Will and Jada. When you think they have this great black love. Or let me see, Angela Bassett and Courtney Vance, where you're like, oh, just black love is just exuding all over them. Or Denzel and Paula, where you're like, oh, that's just some amazing love. Not realizing that they go through their own issues as well. So here's an example of secure attachment. Cliff and Claire Huxtable, we all know them well, are the perfect example of demonstrating what a secure and healthy relationship looks like. They created a stable home, provided guidance and discipline together as a couple towards their children. So they truly worked in partnership in raising their kids. Although they were both professionals, they demonstrated that their children were more important than anything in the world, which is why the Cosby Show was so prolific for us, and we were all tuned in Thursday night because we're like, this is black excellence at its finest. So that's what a secure attachment looks like. Avoidant attachment style. This style suggests that parents were neglectful, unavailable, and rejecting of their child. Now, whether it was due to postpartum, sickness, or the adult's inability to properly care for the child, it created an environment of mistrust in getting the child's needs met. Children raised in this environment desire the closeness of their parent, but learn that they will be rejected. That feeling of rejection comes at an early age, guys. First year of life, early age. People think that kids don't recognize, that babies don't recognize, but 3 lobes of our brain are already formed. So we do recognize in that infantile stage. The babies recognize that they cannot depend on their parents to make them feel safe and secure. As a result, they become adults that avoid closeness or emotional closeness. They can be distant, rigid, critical, and intolerant of others. They have great difficulty trusting others. We have all met this person. Negative Nancy kind of fits in right here. right? An example of avoidant attachment style. Mr. Big from Sex and the City is a classic example of an avoidant attachment style. He loved Carrie, but their whole relationship consisted of him running away from her when they would get too close. Even in heated or emotional situations, he appeared to be able to turn off his feelings and not react. Now, this doesn't suggest that he did not want the relationship. He just did not have the capacity to modulate his emotions. So avoiding the relationship allowed him to avoid the anxiety of loving someone that may possibly reject him. So avoidant people are constantly in fear of, if I get too close to you, you're going to hurt me. Because if my parents rejected me, I can't trust that you won't. My parents are the people that are supposed to love me. If they don't love me and they don't want to be around me, I'm not going to think that anybody else in my life wants to be around me. Ambivalent attachment style. It's our third style, and it suggests that these children were raised in an inconsistent environment with sometimes intrusive parent communication and being overbearing with their affection. So the parents are just hovering over them, or the parents are not around at all. So they don't know what to trust. One day mommy likes me, one day mommy and daddy hate me. These individuals exhibit anxious, insecure, and unpredictable erratic behavior. These people are hard to date because you don't know what they're gonna do in public. You can't take them nowhere, right? Excuse me. They tend to always blame others and never take responsibility for their part in a conflict. Have we met these people? We work with some of them. We live with some of them. Some of them are right in our family. And we excuse it. You know, that's just how she is, girl. How often do we say that? Sometimes we gotta point out behavior so people can heal. We gotta point it out. These people, they desire intimacy, but they push people away with their behaviors because they fear their partner's rejection. Their behavior can often result in being displayed as clingy. Anybody ever been in a clingy relationship? You feel suffocated, you can't breathe. You just want to run away. A thin line between love and hate is a perfect example of the ambivalent attachment style. Lady Mae, or Lynn Whitfield, was masterful in showing, if I can't have you, no one will. You guys remember that movie? I was like, I've never seen people act like that in my life. I was amazed at that character. And guys, this is our fourth one, and this is the one that is kind of the hardest to rehabilitate from, but it still can be done. Disorganized, it's our final attachment style. Disorganized parents ignored or were not able to meet their child's needs. These parents would exude frightening behavior and would be abusive towards their children. As a result, these individuals are chaotic, insensitive, abusive, explosive, prone to outbursts, and untrusting, even though they are craving security. These people are scary people to be in a relationship with, because you don't know what's gonna set them off. Just waking up might upset them. Ike and Tina Turner are a great example of this type of explosive relationship. Ike's fragile ego could not handle Tina's success, although he helped create it. And his only way to try to diminish her greatness was through abuse. While he loved her and craved to be in a relationship with her, his emotional capacity was too disorganized to develop and maintain a trusting relationship with Tina. He couldn't even do it with his kids, which is why his kids ran to Tina. Because somewhere in his life, someone didn't give him a secure attachment. Now, can you move through these attachments? Can you repair it yourself? Can you learn how to be better? Absolutely. The beauty of who we are is that God gives us grace and mercy every single day. And so it's a conscious choice. But if you don't get real about who you are, we're all somewhere on the spectrum, all of us. Yes. Nobody's immune. It does not discriminate. with your socioeconomic status, because I've met some very highly paid, disorganized people. Does not discriminate with intelligence. I've met some very high functioning, ambivalent people. All of our situations we learn how to cope with. And so we can mask it for a little while, but it comes out. Because you can't hide who you are in interpersonal relationships. If somebody spends time with you, they know who you are. Your behavior shows up. You don't even have to say anything sometimes, because the truth of the matter is, 93% of how we communicate in the world is nonverbal. 7% is just left to what you say. But your body language tells a story about you before you even enter the room. So these are some key things that you have to hone in on when you're really trying to figure out who it is that you are. It's nothing to be ashamed about. It's nothing to be embarrassed about. It is something that you have to be real about. Because if you want better, when you know better, you have to do better. 90% is awareness, 10% is change. When you're armed with information, at that point, it's just a choice. Make the change. Just a choice. All right. Understanding your relationship with yourself. So now that you understand how you see yourself, what you believe about yourself, and how you emotionally attach to others, you can now be empowered to make better decisions for yourself. You are now empowered to see yourself past your mistakes. You are now empowered to understand how to change those parts about you that you do not like. You are now empowered to accept the totality of who you are, and you are now empowered to love yourself fiercely. So now I am going to open up the floor to questions and answers.